Hey, would you like to save 50% on your next paint purchase?
And learn what type of paint to use in your house.
Yeah, so stick around. We're going to break that down right now. So I have Jamie here. She's our expert on interior finishing. So we're going to, first part of this, we're going to break down what type of paint to use in your interior, what Sheens talk about. So she's going to handle that one. Next, I'm going to be talking about the different types of paint that Sherwin-Williams has to offer, because when their painter tells you that they're using Sherwin-Williams paint, they could be using the low end, and you're not getting good paint jobs. So I'll break that down, and plus I'll go over exterior paints, what to use on exterior, because I have a little knowledge in that. And if you stick around to the end, you'll learn how to save that 50% on all your paint purchases moving forward. Okay, so we have Jamie here. She's our interior designer, our expert on Sheens finishes inside the house. And so I know you get a lot of calls, and when you go out to a client, they got a lot of questions about paint, where to put what colors where, and especially Sheens too. So let's talk about different rooms and what Sheens are good for, like your living room and your main room and stuff like that, that you maybe have these tall walls. So what would you recommend in like your living spaces?
So I always want to talk about the durability and the maintenance. Right. The higher the gloss, the higher the durability. Okay. You get an easier wall to wipe down when you have a higher gloss. It does not hide imperfections very well. It shows scratches. So what you're going to have to do is, if you have to touch up, you're going to have to touch up the whole wall. Right. But again, it is easier to wipe down. So you've got a good maintenance there. And it does reflect light, so it will bring in a lot more light into the room. It'll make it feel bigger and brighter. Right.
So there's a lot of pros and cons there. Yes. First, you got to find out how many rug rats they have running around, because that makes a difference on the wall paint and where you want to wash it down. And we will talk about these and break them down, which ones are washable, which ones are not, so you can get kind of that happy medium where you don't get too much shine on the wall, but still want the durability in place too. Yeah. So let's talk about matte finishes. What you know, if you was to do your living room or wall in matte, what are the advantages of having a matte or flat finish over a sheen?
So a matte or flat finish you can touch up really easily. Okay. You cannot wipe it down easily though. It does give a more muted and darker look. So if you're wanting the room to feel bigger and brighter, you don't want to pick a matte or a flat sheen. Right. It just has no sheen to it. It has no reflective light that is going to bounce off. So every ounce of color is just going to absorb. Right.
But on the same hand, though, it hides all the imperfections on the wall. So that's the big reason we use it is, you know, some of these builders, and probably in your house, you notice as the light comes in, you see it on the wall, you can see that rippling of the sheetrock that you didn't see when your other lights were on. That's the stuff that the semi-gloss paints or satin paints are going to pick up and really highlight. Because we've been in houses before and the wall looks great before we paint it, and we go to paint it and go, oh my gosh, what is all that?
Yeah, you see every little nick and crack.
Yeah. So that is the downfall of a satin paint. Plus, touching up satin paint or any kind of sheen paint is difficult, right?
Yes. Yes, very difficult. Yeah. So when it comes to places like the doors, the trim, and the cabinets, I always suggest a higher gloss or a semi-gloss.
Right, because a lot of hands and touching stuff like that, especially around the doorknobs, especially little rug rats running around. So yeah, make sure you get that good coating on there. We'll talk about these in just a few minutes. So again, satin, semi-gloss, all those, when you touch them up, I know we've done it before. So, you know, our painters will go in, paint the living room wall or paint the living room, and if there's a spot missing, what happens, the customer puts a blue tape up there, and we can't just touch that spot up because you can see it just like you can see the blue tape. So we have to paint that whole wall, touch up the spot, then paint the whole wall to get that even coverage. So know that before going in, because if you are touching up paint around your house, let's say you had your house painted, you know, a year later you have 3 or 4 kids running around, you got dings all through your wall, and you went through there and touched everything up, you got the paint left over, right? You're going to be able to see all of that. Now with flat paint, you're not going to be able to see none of that. So that's kind of the pros and cons.
Yes. It gives you a more rustic and natural look with a flat or matte.
So you can't, they do have flats that are washable. They're not as washable as satins, but they're still washable. But the cool thing about the flat, if you have a hallway in a year's time and you've got a lot of touch-ups, you can go there and roll it out real quick, keep your paint, roll it real quick, and now you got a new fresh wall. That makes sense. I guess you can do that with satin too. But anyway, neither here nor there. Now let's talk about your wet areas, your showers, your bathrooms, your kitchens and stuff like that. What's typically recommended in there?
So I always say something in the middle. A higher gloss, of course, it's going to show water spots, so you do have to be careful with that. But it also is easier again to wipe down. So you have that pro. So in certain areas like the kitchen or the bathroom, there's gonna be a lot of moisture. I always say stay somewhere at least in the middle. I wouldn't want to do a flat or matte. It doesn't absorb the water, it doesn't show the water spots, but I think staying in the middle is.
I think I know what you're talking about. Water spots. You're talking about around the shower where these little streaks that come down. What is that about? So that's flat paint. That's what the water does to that. So if you see that, pretty much your bathroom's been painted with flat paint, and that's just absorbing that water and creating those lines there. So make sure you go to good satin, eggshell, something's got a little sheen to it, so you can carry that off. Same way in the kitchen.
Yep. I always suggest semi-gloss for the cabinetry. Cabinets, you're going to have a lot of hands, a lot of banging and scratching, so you can actually cover it up a little bit easier. You can wipe it down, but at the same time, it's at eye level, so you're going to see it a lot. A lot of people don't want to do a gloss if you're looking for a more natural look, but that'll help.
All right, Jamie, so thank you for that. Is there anything else that we hadn't went over that you could give us advice on?
I would say just make sure you hire a really good experienced painter. If you can look at his past work or even a reference, that's helpful. Yeah,
references are going to be good because showing pictures of paint work, I can show you a picture of a wall that doesn't look good in person, but it looks great in a picture. So just be careful of that. And yes, a bad painter can make good paint look very, very bad. So making sure, like she said, references, talk to other people. Don't just assume, just talk to them, say, hey, how did he do on that job? Okay, so yes, now the big time, we're gonna break down the different types of paint, and then we'll move on to the exterior side of things. So we have a few of Sherwin-Williams lines. Now keep in mind that, I don't know if you know this, so answer any question you have about the lines if we go through this.
Sure.
Of course, if you're a real estate guy and you want just flip houses, then you'll be using their lower line. So what you want to do as a customer, you want to make sure that your painter is not using cheap paint. And I've had some crazy things happen in the past. I don't know if I told you this story, but I was at a job and the back of the house, they said they had it painted 3 years ago, and it was all chalky and running down. Come to find out, they used interior paint on exterior.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Worse than that, he was out there watching them paint. The cans that they had was exterior paint. So what they did to save money, because when a painter quotes your house, they typically quote paint and labor included. We don't. I'll tell you why in a second. But what happened is they were putting interior paint in an exterior can, putting it on the house. They know when they leave, it looks great.
Yeah.
2-3 years down the road, you can't get in touch with them, you can't get them to come back, and now you got to repaint your house. So making sure you're educated on paint, and then you have control of your paint. So don't give the control of your paint to your painter, because if they get in a money crunch, what do you think they're going to choose? So there's some good ones out there that choose the right thing, but they're hard to find these days. All right. So what do you know about different lines of paint, Sherwin-Williams paint?
No. What do you think a homeowner should take into consideration when choosing?
A lot of things you want to take into consideration is how long you're going to be in a home. Because that does favor. If you don't want to get a 15-year exterior paint if you're only going to sell the house in a year.
Yeah.
You could, and you could help the other homeowner out if you want to do that.
But more than likely, they might want to change the color themselves.
Yeah. So you never know that till you sell your house and they don't like the colors you picked, and now they're painting stuff over. So, thinking about that too, because then that's when you can go down to the lower levels of paint and still get a good coverage, but that's not going to break the bank, because some of these paints can be of excess of $100 a gallon. Emerald line, and that's at a customer price, of course. So you're going to get it at our price, and we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. All right, so we're going to start with your A100. That's typically an exterior paint. Most guys use it for your exterior trim, your soffits, your around your windows and stuff like that. It's a good quality paint. It's not the best, but it's a way that painters will save money. We step up from there, and I think we go to SuperPaint, which is kind of funny. That's like a Superman paint. Must have been a guy who named this, because it's SuperPaint. Anyway, it's named because it's a good paint, and it's one of their, I would say it's kind of their third level down. So it's primarily what we use a lot. We go from SuperPaint to Durations. So SuperPaint is it's got good coverage. It's more of your on the exterior side, it's more of your 8-year paint, 8 to 10 year paint on warranty like that. And so you're going to get a good coverage 8 to 10 years. But if you're going to be in your house a long time, you definitely want to talk about Durations or even up to the Emerald line.
Yeah.
So when you step up the duration, you're looking at more of a 10 to 12 year paint, and when we go up to the Emerald line, we're looking more of a up to 15 years under warranty stuff.
There's a lot of time, money, and effort put into painting your exteriors. So,
yes.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people want that look, but they skimp on the quality of paint, and then 5 years later, I got to paint the house again.
Yeah.
So yes, let's. So that's kind of the breakdown there. Like I said, stick with durations. It's not going to break the bank, but it's an awesome quality paint. And if you do want to step up, now Sherwin-Williams does have did you know they have a paint that actually washes itself?
I did not.
Yeah, it's called Rain Fresh. And so they claim, and it works, when it rains, it washes the house at the same time. So how they design that, I don't know. Yeah. They also compare that to Rhino Shield. I don't know if you ever heard of Rhino Shield. Rhino Shield is a protective company that actually encases your house with their Rhino Shield, which is a paint basically. So Sherwin-Williams compares their Emerald line with the Rhino Shield. So great quality paints there. Now cabinet paint, you talked about cabinets earlier, right?
Yes.
And that's a big one. So and this is what you need to know about cabinets is, you get painters that come in, they're going to paint your cabinets. You need to ask them what kind of paint they're going to use, because if they use just regular trim paint, then it's probably going to chip off, and it'll look good for a year, maybe a year and a half, and then it's going to look like it wasn't ever painted for. So they make a line, Emerald line, which is their highest paint, but it has a polyurethane fortified coating, which is very hard, kind of like your fingernail polish. So that's what you want in your cabinets, because you're slamming them doors, opening them up.
You need that durability.
Yeah, you need that. You definitely need that. So definitely make sure you're picking the right paint. So what I would recommend moving forward, even if you're going to paint your house, is hire your painter, let them give you a labor price, and then you take control of your paint. Use the 50% discount code we're going to give you, and you get our discount, and that way you have control of your paint, and then you're paying a labor price. You'll get a paint job that's less now, because a lot of people don't know when painters paint the house, when painters give an estimate, they actually include, they don't know exactly how many gallons of paint it's going to take.
Yeah.
I can guess.
Yeah.
But I don't know, and I don't want to get in trouble. I want to lose money, so I'm going to guess a little bit high. And usually, and if I guess not enough, then who knows? I may put some water in the paint.
Oh yeah, you don't want that.
I wouldn't do that, so they're protecting themselves. So if they just give you a labor price and they go, hey, I'll do it for a labor price.
Yeah.
You take care of the paint. It's a win for both of you guys. So I would highly, highly recommend taking the paint in your own hands. You know exactly what was used on your house. You have receipts for it. You know exactly how many gallons we use. You're going to take care of that. So now let's get into exterior paint. I know you have some questions there you were asking earlier. So let's break it down and let's talk about exterior.
So again, run down what the biggest factors a homeowner should take into consideration.
Protection of knowing what paint's on your house, of course, making sure you take the paint in your own hands. We talked about vetting your painter, making sure you get a good quality painter, because prep. A lot of people don't know about prep. Prep is very, very important, because Sherwin-Williams will not stand behind any of their paint if it wasn't prepped right. So, taking that in consideration too. And so, knowing what that painter is going to do, let them tell you, this is what I'm going to do to prep. They should pressure wash, and they should also scrape any loose paint, because if this is paint on any loose paint, or if it's paint on dirty surfaces, it's not going to stick. It's going to look great for, a year maybe, but it's going to come loose. So, and then making sure you use a primer in places that need primer. So raw wood, places where they scrape paint off, you want to prime that first and then paint. So, so I would highly recommend, making sure when you talk to your painter, what is your process? Have them write it down, have them put in your quote, because if you have to go back to Sherwin-Williams 5 years from now because the paint's peeling or something like that, you want to have that. You want to have that in there. So even document on what they're doing. So if they're pressure washing, take a little picture of them doing it. That way, because Sherwin-Williams will stand behind their paint. I've had them come out to job sites before. They've done a little investigation, figure out what's going on. If it's in the gray area, they'll say, yeah, we'll give you new paint. They don't pay for the labor, but you get new paint. Okay. So yeah, make sure you protect yourself. That would be my number one thing.
Okay, so we talked about the interior, different sheens, gloss, matte. What about the exterior? What do you recommend for exteriors?
Oh yeah, so definitely not flat.
Yeah.
You'll see a lot of the tract homes, the subdivisions, they'll put flat paint on. Like, that's just, it's funny when you see home builders do that, because there's probably $5 in difference in paint, but that $5 adds up over the 200 houses. So I would say never flat. Although it looks good, gives that matte look, and And it, you know, when the trim's semi-gloss, it pops. So it looks great, but what'll happen, it'll chalk over time and just won't hold up. So you definitely want a sheen, and the higher the sheen on the exterior of the house, the better protection. Kind of like sunscreen, kind of like makeup, kind of like anything else. The more you put on,
just
the
like
better you look.
Yeah, just like the interiors. The higher the gloss, the higher the durability.
Right. So yeah, so definitely on your siding, satin and above. You know, then you got to still be careful. You don't want to semi-gloss everything, because then the imperfections, the wavy siding, is going to be pulled out and stuff like that too. So it's playing that balancing act. But definitely nothing lower than the satin on your siding. Now on your trim is semi-gloss or gloss. You know. Okay. Now Sherwin-Williams, their gloss is actually their semi-gloss, which is weird, but either here or there.
Good to know.
So, because most people are not really going high gloss stuff anymore. It's just it's very rare. Yeah. So a good semi-gloss on your trim, satin on your siding. That should cover you on that.
How does the right paint protect with weather damage?
So again, that goes back to sheen. You know, the higher the sheen, the water's going to run off. You know, if you get the rain fresh, just cleans it for you. The flat, of course, the water's not going to beat off as quickly. So yeah, definitely make sure it's the sheen of paint that's going to help with that.
So what is the proper prep work for paint itself?
Peter Piper picked up paper.
Not a piece there.
Proper prep work for paint. So yeah, we talked about that earlier, just making sure that you're covered with that, because the warranty's not going to mean anything if the prep work wasn't done right. So yeah, just making sure that's taken care of. Yeah.
Yep. Same for the interiors. Make sure it's prepped correctly, properly.
Yeah, it's not really. I mean, you still want good prep work in there, because that helps with the imperfections. But as far as durability, yeah, it helps a little bit there too.
So what is a common mistake that homeowners make when hiring a painter for exteriors?
We talked about that earlier. One is letting the painter have control of the paint. Never, ever let that happen. Two, vetting their painters, making sure you get some good references. You know, if they've done a great job, they should have great reviews.
Yes.
Google reviews are huge, and so looking through those too, make sure some of them are not fake, because unfortunately, there's some fake ones out there. So yeah, look through their Google reviews, because if our customers love them, they're doing a good job.
Yeah.
All right. So and asking for referrals, you can get a phone number. So if I ask me for a referral, what do you think I'm going to do?
Yeah, you can give them your mom's phone number.
Yeah, somebody who loves me, of course.
Yeah.
I've actually will tell you, let me give you one of our customers that don't like me. No, I'm just kidding. But yes, so yeah, making sure you vet that painter. So you get to use our discount. So at Sherwin-Williams, if when you're a customer go in the store, you typically will get a 10% discount off the retail price there. I don't know why they just don't post the regular price, what they're gonna sell it for. It's like a trick play, right? They give us 50% discount because we do a large volume of paint. And so you're gonna be able to take advantage of that. So how awesome is that? So the way that's gonna work, there'll be a link here, somewhere down here, just look for a link. That'll go to a Google form. We're gonna capture the information. We want to get you on our email list, of course, because there's gonna be a lot of cool things coming up, that you'll be educated on everything around your house is the whole goal, is to create a channel to where you know what you're looking for when you're doing a bathroom remodel, kitchen remodel, stuff like that, building a deck, just anything around the house.
You know what to expect.
Right. So get you on the email list, and there'll be a code that you'll have when you go into Sherwin-Williams. You'll have that password. You'll be on a New Day Construction account. You'll give them the password. They'll know to give you our discount. You have to pay for the paint there. I don't want to pay for your paint, so don't do that. But yeah, you'll get the discount, and they're good with that. I just think it's an awesome thing.
Yeah.
So I'm geared up and excited about doing it. So I hope it works out for you guys. I love to hear some feedback. Comment below too if you're taking advantage of this, and let people know that I'm in. So type below I'm in. Like this video, share it, So guys, thank you so very much. I hope you learned something today.
Absolutely.
I hope I learned something today. I did. And then I hope you guys learned something today. So guys, if you like content like this, check out the next video. I'm sure you'll enjoy that too. Other than that, I hope you guys have a blessed day.
Thank you.